creating the best Notion database so I can see exactly where all my content's going.
So it's like best of both worlds, which was a nice win. I really like the combination of Obsidian and GitHub. Because I'm on Linux, of course, running Manjaro, which is probably not the best idea. Because if I try and get it perfect, I'll end up, that spiral that we've already talked about gets worse. No, totally unsatisfied. No satisfaction in that job at all. It was a big, long slog. It was really hard. And at the end, I don't think it's very impressive. Yet the boss is making money and he's happy. It's his baby. And he's just like, there's something about letting go of that perfectionism. G'day, welcome to episode 13, lucky number 13 of the Code and Character podcast. Here with my co-host Ivan. I'm Bevan, and today we're talking about personal productivity, or lack thereof. I bring that up because it's on my mind at the moment, and hey, we've both got a lot to talk about. Ivan and I have had a little pre-meeting here, jotting down some notes and going through some ideas and some of the tools that we use and having discussions about our own personal productivity. We've been having a chat. We're ready to get into it. So I guess hand it over to you, Ivan. You've got a number of different tools that you use. You work full time, you run WebWash, you do content creation. You've got lots of other stuff in your life that you go on. And from my perspective, as an outside observer, playing the comparison game, comparison being the thief of joy, I get quite impressed at how much content you get out, knowing how much you've got on your plate. And I find that fascinating. So you've got a number of different tools you've spoken to, like Notion for one, and a few other apps that you're into.
Absolutely.
How do you go with productivity?
Well, productivity is a forever evolving thing with me, and I struggle with shiny object syndrome. Oh, there's a new tool that needs to be used. So I often jump in and use it, and then I waste time. But what I thought is I might as well just go through a few quick tools that I use and just mention how I use them. So the first one that kind of manages a lot of things for me is Notion. Now, I picked up Notion very early on, like a long time ago, and I just played around with it and then left it. And then I came back to it, and it takes a bit of fiddling around to really get a good understanding of it, but you can easily procrastinate and feel like you're productive by creating your Notion board, rebuilding it, but you're not actually shipping. So I know I've kind of struggled with creating the best Notion database so I can see exactly where all my content's going, because I want to make sure that my videos, which are 16 by 9, 9 by 16, so landscape, portrait, I want to know exactly if it's gone on TikTok, Instagram short, Instagram, blah, blah, blah. But then you can spend a lot of time building all that instead of actually just shipping. But I kind of live in this funny world where I kind of use Notion for some things, but then I revert a lot to Google Sheets, because a database, a spreadsheet isn't a database, but using it sometimes like a database, it just does the job. And for me, I use Google Workspace for my freelancing business, my contracting business. And so I've got access to spreadsheets, and it just does the job. I've got so many Google Docs. I've got so many spreadsheets. But one thing that I try and do, and this is something, a little top tip, I guess, for people who want to avoid vendor lock-in, is I never store written content in Notion. Because my fear is I know I'm going to get off it eventually. So what I try and do is I store everything in Google Docs. Now, yes, I'm locking myself into Google Docs, but
at least it's in
one thing.
Standard format too.
Exactly.
It's easy to export a spreadsheet.
Exactly. So what a lot of people do is they will spin up a Notion page, create a database, do all of that stuff, write their scripts in Notion, write their blog posts in Notion. I just link off to a Google Doc account, which can be annoying because every single time you want to create a new piece of content, you have to manually create all of these little bits and pieces, create a folder in Google Drive, create the Google Docs, but you can't automate it. And it's one of these things where I feel like I'm just wasting time if I'm not just producing content. So maybe I should automate it, maybe I shouldn't.
Yeah, well, I can relate to that a lot. We were just discussing my last 2 weeks. Yeah. I'm feeling incredibly unproductive. I made a Facebook post here. It's only 6 days ago, right? I don't know what happened the week before that. That's how disorganized I am. But, it's like I've written here that I was planning to make a blog post and maybe even a video about enabling comments on my Drupal site. And I think I've got a live recording of that the process of trying to set up comments on my site. That needs to be edited. I'm doing a weekly gig hosting pub trivia, which that takes a day out where I need to review that trivia. When I get hold of it, I get it the same day that the trivia is on. Like I'm doing that tomorrow. I expect to get an email about that tonight, which means a lot of tomorrow is that's the most important, urgent thing to do tomorrow, which factors into a topic about prioritization. If you think about the Eisenhower Matrix, which I think we've discussed before, where you've got the columns of urgent and important, which are basically crisis things. They have to be done now. Like your house on fire is urgent and important. You've got to take care of it.
Yeah.
You got other things that are not urgent, but they're important, which I use the analogy of putting in fire prevention systems is important. If you don't do it, you end up with a crisis. And then you've got the urgent but not important thing, which is distractions from people that are ringing you up about not important stuff. The phone's ringing, it's urgent. You've got to take the phone call. And then you've got the both not urgent and not important things, which real low distractions, I guess. I'm not super read on, but I've been keeping that in my mind a little bit recently when I'm choosing what tasks do I need to do. And I tell you what, when I'm doing a lot of stuff for myself, it's really easy to know what's urgent and important. Like that's to get paid for that trivia gig, I need to go and get an ABN. That's urgent and important. It's both. It's just top of the list. It's so easy to prioritize. Now I've been planning to do a content strategy, fighting with perfectionism, right? So I'm trying to plan out a series of content. We've talked about me doing that 30-day talk to the camera challenge. I did that. It's finished. I thought I would do something like that again. I'll do a storytelling challenge. I learned as I went 30 days is a long time. I'll cut it down to 14, just make it 2 weeks. And I planned it out. So I went and sat down with ChatGPT and goes, here's some stories of my life, things. Let's see if we can collate that into some stories about me. I can tell what are some common stories that we learn, maybe some fables or other anecdotes I've heard from around the internet, try and speak to those. So I've got that planning out. In the process of doing that, I'm just coming up with different ideas of things I've got to do. Like organizing, trying to do a content plan. And here I am in a spreadsheet with a content schedule of things to do. And I haven't looked at that for 2 weeks after creating it, because what I did want to do was put a to-do list on my website and integrate ChatGPT. I'm so bad at saying that, ChatGPT, because the amount of times I'm having a chat with ChatGPT and it's just all these other ideas locking off, and you go, it's so hard to, because even using ChatGPT, you're generating so much output that it's like, well, the job to sit down and go through all that and refine it's a huge job. So I want a system where I can just go, hey, let's archive this idea and put it off in a to-do list somewhere so I can review it. So I decided to create a prototype of just I thought I'll whip up a quick to-do list that doesn't need to do anything fancy, just due date, priority, description, title, easy. And I'll whip up a custom GPT. I don't need to go build a proper app with OpenAPI's API. I'll just chuck it into a custom GPT and thought that'll take me a day. And here we are 5 days later, the fighting with OAuth and deploying my website, and it just blew out of proportion. Plus there's all the other stuff you've got to do, like my Google Drive's 99% full. I've got that ABN I've got to organize. The laptop had updates the other day, right? My laptop ran some updates and then my laptop didn't work. And I lost 5 hours fixing that, right? It's urgent and important. Can't work if your computer's not working. So there's so much going on. And at the moment, I'm just feeling really unproductive, having also made progress. And it's just hard to keep on top of all these things. And then you're losing momentum because I had a plan for a video. I can't even tell you what the video I planned out was. Using Obsidian to keep notes. Well, one quick thing I did that I think was a good win was going, because when I'm out with my phone, I was like, oh, how do I edit in Obsidian without getting an account on Obsidian and stuff like that? I don't really want to do that same thing, vendor lock-in stuff. When it suddenly occurred to me, hey, it's just a big pile of markdown documents in the back. So I just did git init, go to GitHub, make a git put. Ooh. Suddenly I just realized I can just push all my Obsidian documents straight up to GitHub, and it's got a editor built in as well. So it's like best of both worlds, which was a nice win. I really like the combination of Obsidian and GitHub, something new that I've been doing where I can, as long as I git commit push, I've got access to it externally. So I'm a little bit all over the place in that. And it's really had me thinking a lot about, as I said, I spoke about the Eisenhower Matrix. It's been on my mind. Interesting that it's not like I sit down with the matrix and write out all my to-do lists and go, this is urgent. Yeah. It's kind of, you just look at, it's just, I know, right? Getting my ABN's really important to do. And then again, I thought that's pretty easy. I sat down yesterday to go get an ABN. Thought, easy job. I'll open up the website, type into Google ABN registration. You go to the page, you start reading, and then it's like, you got to prove all this stuff. If we might do an audit if we find out you're not really running a business. It's $20,000 for every bit of information you get wrong. Just put the fear of God in you, and you're like, oh, what's this for, a trivia gig? So had to sit down and then almost get ChatGPT to go, can you review what all these rules are? And it's kind of like, still a little bit vague, but it helped me go, you know what, I'll email the guy I'm working with, who's got the hosting company, go, do I really need an ABN? And what do the other hosts do? And my tax agent, I'll contact him. And both of them come back and gone, the tax agent's gone 100% absolutely. And I'm like, right. But here was what I thought was like a hour job to sit there and fill in the form. Then turned into go and contact that. So it's like every job you do just turns you into a much bigger job. And, there's other things to do. Like that's, what was I installing? When I did the updates on my computer, it comes in, because I'm on Linux, of course, running Manjaro, which is probably not the best idea. But it generally usually works. But then you're installing and it goes, do you want to replace this library that uses FFmpeg with the one that uses GStreamer, which is the GNOME desktop version? It's like, I don't know. Right, here we go. All I wanted to do was click run updates, and now I've got this question. ChatGPT, what do I do? And it says, look, if you're using GNOME and you're running GNOME stuff, you probably want to use the GStreamer one. That's okay, right? But I'm only using GNOME because there was a problem with KDE in this particular hardware on this laptop. I had to use GNOME and I want to go back to KDE. So it's like, when I go back to KDE, I'm going to have to swap that library out. I'm going to have to remember that, which could be in 6 months' time, which is, again, back to that to-do item. That's why I want a contextual ChatGPT. So when I'm talking to it, I go, hey, look, I want to swap over the KDE. Can you go and check my to-do list and see if anything's relevant? Right? That's sort of my idea. But it's just forever more and more and more tasks that are just coming out. And it's, here we go. I've got Obsidian and a spreadsheet, and I want to check out Notion, or do I? Right? It's kind of, and just tracking all these things, plus your daily stuff where you've got to go out and do, mindfulness exercises that I do every day to keep, because I've got my list of choices and my main things that I need to review. It's just a little bit, so much stuff to do. So
absolutely.
Hence the conversation about things like productivity, toxic productivity, organizational skills. Like I said to you a minute ago, just bring it up. Through all this, kind of want to be using all these stories and all these challenges as content themselves. Like, that's a great story. Like, so here you are in the middle of something. Like, look, I'll just write a bit of a blog up about my status and where I'm at. And then next thing you know, you're 3 hours into writing and editing a blog. And then you put the blog up and I've got to have a proper image to go with it. So then you're in Inkscape doing a thumbnail, and it's just, it's an interesting, just to see the productivity that people get. Right. And it's like, So
Absolutely.
a lot of a story. Trying to generate content, you think it'd be fairly easy, but there's this exponential flow of
Yes.
generating content about the challenges about generating content. Adds to more challenges, adds to more content.
Yeah. And you can get into this
very.
spiral of, if you want to live stream everything and build in public, then you're like, okay, let me just sit down and write this piece of content or record this video or test out this new tool. Oh, but no, I need to live stream it. Oh, but have I set everything up? So you kind of procrastinate of producing content about producing content. And it's like this forever. It's like this perpetual thing. So about 2 weeks ago, I did a video about some big news in some open source CMS. I forgot the name of it. We're still trying to avoid
Starfighter. No, what's it called?
Starshot. No, well, yeah, Starshot. Okay. Oh yeah. Well, we're not going to use the D word, but yeah, that was announced, and I really wanted to get this video out. And so I actually I live streamed myself recording and I think editing the video as well. Ended up going, it's on my personal YouTube channel. It's there. It was a Saturday night. And the good thing is I got it recorded and I got it edited.
You're fantastic,
in one night.
Right? See, but this is my point. Seeing you I've seen you go out and produce the content on that Starshot thing for that CMS that must not be named. Just for anybody watching, we're both web developers working a particular tool that we're choosing not to mention for in joke.
Yes.
And then so it's got a new feature that's very exciting out. And see, but you're generating that content. I've seen the scuttlebutt about it recently, and I want to go and look into it, but I don't have time. I've got so many things on my plate, and it's kind of, that's the challenge right there. I want to sit down and learn about Starshot. However, big positive comes out of that because in the last couple of weeks, well, I think we discussed it a little bit. At least had a chat in Slack, in the Drupal Slack. But I just said it. And right. One of the things I came up with, because I was thinking about, it was Simon actually, our mate Simon. He suggested, why don't you just record what you're doing and go back and edit it later, and then you can just do your own narration over the top. I'm like, do you know what? I'd thought of that and just put it out of my head. It's like, don't know why, right? I went, okay, that's not a bad idea. So I actually have been doing that. I've done a few live. Well, I went one step rather than just record it, live stream to YouTube and record it on YouTube, and discovered that you just set a private stream and I can record it privately onto my YouTube channel. And now I don't need to worry about filling up my hard drive. It's probably not the most quality because YouTube would drop the frame rates and drop the bit rate, I guess. But that's something I've been doing, and I find that really helps with my focus. Today, I was editing our previous podcast, and I did that with the editing process. I did it using Pomodoro. So you got 25 minutes, start a live stream, go part 1, 25 minutes, talk to the camera. This is what I'm doing. This is what I'm doing for the next 5 minutes. I'm recording, got the Pomodoro. There's the double whammy of having Pomodoro and a live stream going. Found really leveraged that productivity and focus because I'm recording this. It helps me stay focused and get that done. And then your timer goes off. You get a 5-minute break. You go stop that live stream, go have a break, come back, start another one. So that's what I did today. And I've done a couple of other jobs where that's I just found that being the leverage, it's almost like there's this hidden accountability because the first one I did private, and then the second one you went, no, what? Why am I so scared for just so public? Because that's why you get all these worries about if I put shit content up on my YouTube channel, is that going to hurt my YouTube channel I'm trying to build? Like some people say yes, some people say no. And so this is my big lesson is that fighting perfectionism, like that's because if I try and get it perfect, I'll end up that spiral that we've already talked about gets worse.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And the thing is though, you don't funny you would say about negativity. So today was it today or yesterday? I got 2 comments. One comment was saying how why are a bunch of my videos unlisted on my channel? So what essentially happened, just to give you a bit of a backstory. So I used to have a whole bunch of videos that were hosted on Vimeo, and I didn't want to pay for it anymore. So I just posted them. They were older videos, but I didn't want to put them and publish them on my YouTube channel, but I wanted to use YouTube to host them. So I chuck them on YouTube. I set it to unlisted, but I still have ads on it because I've got AdSense set up. And the person's like, oh, why are these unlisted? And you have a lot of ads. Okay, fine. I didn't even reply. And this is
thanks for the engagement. Yeah.
And this is the thing. First of all, it's like 100, like the course has like 100 videos. Again, it's picking my battles. I don't have time to go through and manually put all those videos back into WebWash. I know that it's going to be manual data entry, and I just don't have time for it because I need to pick my battles. Okay. So that was the first thing, but the most important thing, and I want people to really understand this, is that you do not have to reply to people if you don't want to. I don't. And I don't know if that's just me, or that's just, a rude way to think of it. But as soon as you start that back and forth and you notice that somebody's being negative, why waste your energy? I would rather spend that 20 minutes editing a video and getting the next thing out. Okay. So that was the first comment. That wasn't that bad at all. The second one was, it was like, this was on one of my videos on my live stream saying like, dear video producer. I'm like, okay, this is going to be special. They
feel good. And
maybe I'll bring it up. Where is it?
Can you screen share, Ivan?
I'll just quickly go through it. Just a suggestion from a video producer. Oh, sorry, no, they are a video producer. Slow down. Make screen a little smaller. And slow down. I thought make screen a little bigger. You scroll too fast. Okay. A larger screen makes it scroll even faster. Which, okay, fair enough. Okay,
I understand. You to zoom in more. Is that what he's getting at?
Well, yeah. Okay. That I understand. Like, fair enough. Maybe I do move around a bit too quick. Blah blah blah. Well, just talking about it. And don't get me wrong. These people have valid points. I totally agree. A good tutorial, but was hard for me to keep up. I don't eat and sleep Drupal. Well, then, my channel isn't for you. No, I'm joking. Like,
yeah, you've said Drupal too.
So when people go too fast, I tend to check out. I lost you at Radix. Just going to have to go watch another tutorials to fill in the blank. Again,
fair enough.
Yeah,
but you're not going to please everybody. How many people sit there and say they turn it on to 2 times speed anyway?
And if somehow this person that actually wrote this comment is watching this video, I do appreciate the comments. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
But you have to understand. And first of all, when you're live streaming, a lot's happening. And I'm checking comments. I'm trying to make sure I'm not forgetting my part in where I am. I move quickly. I talk quickly. That's just my style. And at the end of the day, you can pause the videos because most people watch after the fact. You can pause and go back. I do understand. But at the end of the day, one of these things that if you were to take all of this and just absorb it, you'll be like, well, every single time you do a live stream, it's going to be, is this too small? Is this too big? At the end of the day,
I know.
Content out, and that's it. You just need to get content out, and that's it.
And have you seen those memes about like where there's a meme where it's like weird obscure bug? Oh, thank you, guy with really strong accent on YouTube, because that's often what it is, right? To come and say, when you've got a really firm grasp on English, and you, as far as I've seen, you are very professional and clean. To come back and give it's like, have you seen most of what's out there on? But then I get you. I know that kind of feedback. Often I'll get feedback and it's like, I know, like I've only got so much time.
Yeah.
I've only got so much resources. I'm still learning. It's like kind of, thanks for your feedback.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
You know,
Do you know how many stuff there are that and this comes back down to prioritizing. You need to prioritize.
yeah.
And for me, it is, I do have a set amount of stuff that need to get done every single day. And I do like this idea, how you were mentioning, you record it and then you go back and narrate it, add narration on top and edit it. I would like to try that out
yet, right? I haven't got that far. The time it takes to sit down and review the video.
Exactly. That's the thing. That's the thing. You need to go in there and edit it. That's where I get lost. I give up. Do you know how many videos I've got? Like I've got probably 10 short form videos that need to be edited, that if I just sat down and spent probably half an hour, that's it, just half an hour, probably half an hour to an hour, I could get half of them done. But it's all these little things that in my head is like, oh, okay, so I need to do the captions, thumbnails, I need to do the writing, I need to do this, I need to do that, then I need to upload it, then I need to put into Notion, then I need to put into a spreadsheet, then I need to do this, then I need to upload it into Google Drive, then I need to track it all, then I need to know exactly which day it went on LinkedIn, then I need to know which version of the video went up. Was it the portrait or the landscape version?
How do people do this? I think there's so many people on YouTube that make this look easy. Yes, right. And when you're starting out on your own, just that's my big lesson. And I'm preaching getting over perfectionism. And the reason I preach that is because I'm challenged by it so much. It's probably why I spent time building the to-do list rather than getting, I don't know, like it was really important. And I've got it to a point now where, well, I did. And then I broke it. I got the auth working. And by getting the auth working, it won't read my to-dos anymore. Like, you know, I just want to get it to a minimum viable product, and that's enough until I can go and do other things. I've got to generate content. I really want to start that 40-day challenge. And I think there's an intrinsic resistance, and I've been spending 2 weeks spinning my wheels because it's the perfectionism, right? I don't want to be bad at it. I don't want to put low quality content up. And I just got to get over the fact that, hey, bad content's better than nothing. Right? Because it's only going to improve. Like you mentioned, it's not great, but my lighting's better. Right? That's a bit of it, just because I've been working through things, and it's like I couldn't just sit down and go fix my lighting. Yeah. Right? I can't put it in my to-do list because you sit down, all right, fix my lighting. Achieve nothing. Yeah. Whereas I'm just intrinsically working one day. What if I turn the light like that? And you go, ooh. And then these lights in the background where I just brainwave this morning went, you know what? Maybe I can turn them down. Oh, I didn't know I could do that. Right. And that makes all the difference. And that's not something I could have planned, because it wasn't until literally 10 minutes before we recorded this afternoon, I've gone, hang on. Because I've been annoyed how bright they were for ages. It's been on my mind. Those lights are really bright. I wish they were better. Those lights are bright. I wish they were better. And this afternoon it's gone, can I turn them down? I can't plan that. How do you plan that inspirational light bulb moment? If you got, for some people, that's why meditation and things are for this. But there's really something about getting over the perfectionism. I think is a huge big lesson for me. I sound like I'm preaching it and going, this is what you should. But I want to be really honest, right? And this is much of my channel is about documenting my journey and my journey starting, and I'm getting better. And if you're going to document your journey. And I'm hoping I'm paying into the authenticity aspect of building an audience, because that's the same. Absolutely. Puts their best foot forward all the time. And it's not real.
I'm trying to do the same thing with my own personal brand. So I do have my own personal YouTube channel that I've had for a while, that had videos from years ago. But for me, I really want to get into the process of just live streaming things, because for me it's the easy and just getting things out there. and I don't have to edit. And that's it. Just get it out there. It's done. And I think then your authenticity comes over because there's no editing. It's me.
Yeah,
Like,
well,
and that's it. But sometimes I need to then wait to actually do things late at night because if I'm going to stream, then I don't want people walking into the background. Then it's like, well, okay, I'm not gonna work on this video because I want to wait so I can live stream it. Because another thing I want to do, like I mentioned, I actually did my first building public #1, which is how to record and edit a video in Camtasia. But what I try and do is I still try and offer value. And what I mean by that is I try and come up with a narrative for that live stream. I could just switch it on and just be like, this is me. And then,
that's what I did
it's
today.
literally me just doing it. But, and I've seen people do that. And I don't know, should I do that? Should I give it a go that way? Who knows? But I always think of it, okay, if people are going to be searching for things, I still need to give it a good title. There still needs to be something, of value. So one of my things was, I think it was create and, create and record and edit a video using Camtasia. So at the end of the day, you learn something. And the next one, so building public, #1. I was going to say hashtag, but no, #1. Record and edit using Camtasia for Mac. Now, the next video could be some other part of my workflow that I thought, people can learn about. And that can be how I edit 9:16 vertical videos. What do I do with that?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's not a bad idea. Like the double whammy I get for this, because that's what I did it today, filming editing our podcast. Now, and I'm using the multicam tool in KDN Live, right? So it did become a bit of, hey, this is how you use the multicam tool. And mind you, I ended up doing it in 5 different sets of videos, right? And they're not very good quality. Some of them are just me talking to the camera and being engaging and then getting stuck in and actually doing the work for a good 20 minutes where I don't say a damn word because I'm focused on click this button, click this one. Kind of talk. Mind you, it's funny, the experience, this is the learning experience and why it's so good to just get started. The first one I did, I opened up OBS. I've only used it 2 or 3 times to stream at this point. Of course, a couple of weeks ago, streaming at all, I had no idea how to do it. Now I just sit down and start streaming. It's funny, these little incremental improvements. So I sat down and I switched scenes because I wanted to do an address to the camera at the start. So I had my screen up, there's KDN Live, and there's me down in the corner. And then I'm like, right, so I want to do an intro. So I clicked on me and I did the intro. And then I started doing my demo. And when I came back to OBS 20 minutes later, it's like, you haven't seen my screen the entire time. Like, right on the first video, this is the intro, this is the hook, this is the most important part. And I wrecked it. So then went and did the next 5 anyway. And it's disappointing, but also I learned.
Yeah.
Right? I learned that it's really important.
You won't make that mistake ever again.
Well, I might. I can't.
True.
Funny, people always say that don't make the same mistake twice, but that's the learning process, right? When you're learning to walk, you get up, you fall over. Don't make that mistake again. Well, I will. Right? I'm going to fall over again. And it's going to happen.
Yeah.
Right. But it happens less and less. Right. And I think that's just trying to be. So I'm saying, look, I'm fumbling. I'm here preaching, as I said, like kind of encouraging, just go and do it. Why don't you just do a live? And then I do it and I do a bad job. All right, great. I've done a bad job. Do a better job next time. And then do a better job next time. And that's what I'm hoping to do. And that's why that 14-day challenge, I think you and I probably should give each other a challenge and then do a review at the end of it. Because I think you're, correct me if I'm wrong and tell me if I'm talking out of school, but there's the same perfectionism challenge. You get a little bit, I mean, you're doing such good work and stuff out there, and it probably, I imagine, that probably makes it even harder because you've got a high standard to come out and do something that's way low. That standard is a contrast that I don't have. My stuff's fairly low standard anyway. So if I put a bad one up, like it's not that big of, it's in theme for the moment. But I know I'm struggling with it. My perfection, because this, like, you look at my channel, if you go back to some of the things I made a year ago, and I watch them and like, they're amazing. And it's like that, that comparison's a thief of joy. And they go, the only person to compare yourself is you yesterday. And I go, well, me a year ago was making way better videos than I'm making now. I've gone backwards and I don't know why. So I think even that's a bad idea. Like that just keep moving anyway.
Well, the thing is, though, with all my videos, I'm always satisfactorily disappointed. Yeah. And what I mean by that is I know I can spend way more time on my videos, but I just draw a line in the sand and I'm like, you know what? I don't care. And what I mean by that, and this is what it comes down to. I've got the timeline opened up and it's like, okay, should I zoom into this section? Should I highlight this? Because I know that as soon as I highlight something, then should I add a little sound effect to make it pop, literally, where, you chuck in a little pop there where you highlight it. And that can take sometimes more time editing, especially if you're dealing with videos that are only like 2 minutes long. The recording of those videos and also the first or second edits where you cut, where you go through it, is very quick because they're only 2 minutes long. Like, you don't make that many mistakes. Well, I don't make that many mistakes. Just because, I know my style and I've been doing it for a while, but I still make...
You've got videos that are 12 years old on your channel. I'm just checking out now.
Yeah, exactly. But it's all these little tiny parts where I'm like, you know what? I don't care. It's like, I am not going to spend now another 20 minutes, half hour, because I've got another 5 videos to do, adding in all the pops and zooms and things like that. And I just leave it. And I'm like, all right, I'm done with it. Move on, next. Because
and I think that
you have to just you really have to pick your battles. And yes, I might get a comment saying, oh, I can't see, because straight away when I think about the videos, I'm like, okay, these are going to be posted in feeds. Most people are watching them on their phones. A 16:9 landscape video is probably too small. And most people watch things on their mobiles.
Yeah.
Are you going to be able to see it? I don't know. But then I have a look at other influencers. I don't like that term, but what else are you going to call it? On LinkedIn. Content creators. And the videos that they produce is using, what is it, Loom or something? One of those apps where it just records the screen. There's no editing. There's no captions. There's no zoom-ins. And they have 50 to 100,000 followers. Now, I understand it's not all about followers. I understand that. But the way I see it is, and also, they don't optimize for vertical screens and things like that. It's always the same. Landscape, no editing. As far as I can see, no zoom in, no B-roll flies into the side, all that stuff.
Yeah, with
none of that.
With your fancy editor you got off Fiverr.
Yeah, exactly.
Fiverr,
it's all just
times 10. X10 Fiverr.
It's all just offering value, and I just hope that my content offers value. Of course, I'm going to produce. The only content I produce is whenever I think of an idea and I'm like, you know what, that will be a good video. All right, a 2-minute video, let me chuck it out. Let me produce it. And that's it. And so, and coming back to your thing about just producing crap content, I think it's important for people to be comfortable producing crap content, because you learn way more, I believe. You grow a lot quicker if you have a mindset of just get content out. And I do understand that quantity versus quality and things like that. But sometimes it's better to throw crap at the wall and see which one sticks. And that's a good way of just testing it out.
I've been using that phrase a lot. Look, and I tell you what, you don't really know what's going on. I did that 30-day talk to the camera challenge. Yeah. You've given me positive feedback on it a few times. You said it in our last podcast. I really like that challenge. I've had some people go back.
I want to do it as well.
A mate of mine contact me, said it's like talking to you at the pub. You're doing a great job. A woman I go and get my coffee from at the Shell service station. We've made friends. She goes, I went and watched all your videos. She's there. They're absolutely fantastic. And I'm just sitting there going, I'm almost ashamed that they're up there, yet I've got no negative feedback on them at all. Well, except for one guy's left a comment on my YouTube channel that said, dude, get an editor, which I suspect he's an editor trying to get work, right?
Exactly.
So there's a big lesson in just get things done. And I think one of my goals is to, start expressing my entrepreneurial spirit. That's what all of this is about, right? Mm-hmm. This podcast, creating content, going out, getting gigs, not working full time. So they've got time to build something and develop a vision and start to build momentum. And it's slow going and it's a slow start. But every employer I've worked for, the bosses always had this attitude. Well, not all of them. A lot of bosses I've worked for have really been good at getting over that perfectionism, and it used to rub me the wrong way, right? It's kind of, you finish a job and they go, are you proud of that? And you go, no, totally unsatisfied, no satisfaction in that job at all. It was a big, long slog. It was really hard. And at the end, I don't think it's very impressive. Yet the boss is making money and he's happy. It's his baby. And he's just like, there's something about letting go of that perfectionism. Yet on the contrast of that, talking about seeing people, I mean, I've been paying attention to Gary Vee, Chris Do, right? And you see their stuff they're producing and it's such good quality and they speak such a good game, but they're veterans and have been at this for, 20 years, really. And then I imagine you go back and look at Chris V's videos from right at the beginning. They all say this. The original ones are really just not that good. So, I mean, I think there's really something to be said about that.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
And trying to keep it organized. So I've been distracted building my to-do list. On the positive note, I've managed to get a bit of content out of it. I created a little video because that's what... look, ChatGPT is bugging me. I'm finding at the moment the interface in the browser is bugged because when I get somewhere between 5 and 10 replies into a conversation, the browser starts to slow right up and it'll slowly put out I can pick out the same chat on my phone and watch it and see the whole conversation's finished and my computer's still going. And then suddenly it stops. And if I refresh, the whole conversation's there. And you're just like, this is... So when I had that issue, plus the trying to hook up a custom GPT and the OAuth is not working, so I'm trying to use ChatGPT to debug its own OAuth, and it's doing that to me. And I was like, it's just getting caught in that. Going, I want to get this off my plate. I think I've mentioned it before. I suspect I've got ADHD issues. I get hyperfixated. I want to get this, but originally it was just I just want to get this to-do list to a very basic form, like I was believing I'm doing the right thing. I don't want to make I've cut it right down. I just got the basic fields, just chuck it on my website, hook it in with a basic API. And it took days of challenges and it's kind of half working now. But on the hindsight, in the middle of it, I made a video, and a couple of blog posts. So I'm deliberately leveraging that. It's like I did take the time out and go and take an hour and just whip up a blog post, like he's a post I did. I've been practicing patience and letting go of perfectionism to achieve this milestone, a basic to-do implementation on my website integrated with custom GPT. The current status, right? And I had ChatGPT help me write this up, right? But the current status is it's read only for now, but authentication issues are waiting for feedback from OpenAI. Future plans are enabled the GPT to create and update tasks and refine the interface, right? Next steps are fixed. And I've got a couple of to-do things, and this is a proof of concept. This proof of concept has taken a few days, but now it's done. I can dive back into real work, right? So there's this nice benefit of the challenge itself. I leveraged it to create content from it. Took me an hour.
Yeah.
So I did take that time out. And I got back on the real work. That's why I managed to sit down and start investigating, getting that ABN set up yesterday. I need to come back to that. I've edited our podcast from last week. They were both on delay. And that's that Eisenhower Matrix again. Because, what was I saying? The urgent and important thing. They got to the point where they're absolutely urgent, or obviously that's needed to get done.
Yeah. Absolutely.
So
Well, let's go through some tools. I think that's some of the tools that we both use, because I've been thinking about doing a bunch of videos. Well, I do have a collection of videos short videos about Notion. Again, it's one of these things that I have it available, and I annoyingly recorded it in a vertical format, and then I found out that YouTube short videos don't monetize as well as long form videos.
I didn't know that.
I actually, I was listening to Marketing School. So there's a podcast that I listen to called Marketing School, and they kind of review, they talk about marketing and things like that. And one of the examples was they found an article where they had, I think it was the same channel. So a standard long form video on YouTube got like 1 billion views, and a YouTube short got 1 billion views. And they were like, how much money do you think the long form content got? Apparently the long form content got $50,000. The short got like $400 or something.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous.
Yeah, the money's in the log form.
But the thing is though, I posted a YouTube short on my personal channel, and it got like 300 views straight away. So it's kind of like, it gives you the views.
Yeah, but they're not worth anything.
Yeah, but then I get a lot of traffic through Google search results, especially on my WebWash videos. So what I always think is, if it goes onto YouTube, I just want to do standard videos. It's one of these things that I'm not really sure, like which way do you go? It's like, it's one of these things. Anyway.
Yeah, I think what do they say, that the YouTube, that the shorts audience and the long form audience are two separate audiences?
Absolutely.
Right?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And I think that there might be something to say for harnessing them. Some people use the shorts as a funnel to the long form, but I've heard a lot of mixed messages about whether that even works. And then the people that do well on shorts are just storytellers taking photos of pigeons and doing voiceovers, right? Or I went to Macca's and I made a Macca's hamburger, right? And it's kind of, there's not a lot of technical stuff, except for one guy I know does a lot of SEO shorts. I watched him. I think he might be doing well on his shorts. He does them all the time. So to me, it's a bit of a mixed bag.
Well, the last time I looked at my analytics for actual WebWash, I think I came to the conclusion that the short videos are great for getting subscribers to your channel. Yeah. So I'll have to pull out these analytics, but the last time I checked, I got a decent amount of subscribers just from my short videos. And so
do they matter much beyond your first 1,000, though? You need like your 1,000 to get AdSense monetized.
True, yeah.
And then after that, they're just a vanity metric, aren't they? Really?
Well,
like I'm half expecting YouTube to take that requirement out and swap it in with something else, because subscribers are becoming a non. That's my opinion. I think subscribers are just.
I can see. I do get a lot of subscribers that come in whenever I do a live stream. So yeah. Anyway.
Yeah.
There we go. Yeah. But one thing I do want to go through, just a bunch of, say, products that I use. So one thing I do recommend, if people are looking for free products, look at Microsoft To Do. So Microsoft To Do was Wunderlist, which they purchased, which was a task management tool similar to Todoist, but it's free. So Wunderlist got acquired by Microsoft a long, long time ago. But if you search for Microsoft To Do, it is a free version. Of course, you need a Microsoft account, but you need a Microsoft. Yeah, of course, you need a Microsoft account, but it's free. And there's a Mac app, Android, web version, and on my phone, it is great. I use an Android phone, and it works, and it's free, and you can and.
What do you like about it?
Well, the one thing I like about it is that it's on all devices. That's the first thing. So when I'm on the go, I can easily just chuck it into I can open up my phone, chuck it in my phone, and then I can pull it up on my computer, and it all syncs across. You can do the basic stuff such as reminders, add tasks in, and organize them. So I always put in, how can I say it, like tasks that aren't that important. Well, no, that's probably not the best way of explaining it, but tasks that just need to be done, that is literally a reminder for me. Because sometimes I think it's like, oh, well, should I put a task into Google Calendar? Should I use calendar reminders? But then you have even Google Tasks. Now, Google Tasks is great if you want it to appear on your calendar.
I've tried that in the past too. Yeah, it hasn't changed in 10 years.
That's it. The UI for it's terrible. And it's hard to create subtasks as well. Whereas with Microsoft To Do, you can do that.
Used, Remember the Milk? That's still around. That was an old thing.
I use that when the whole Web 2.0. Yes, I used to be a premium subscriber of that.
Oh.
Yeah, a long time ago.
Yeah, I've still got an account of that with a bunch of to-do items I was meant to do.
Yeah, I've probably still got an account with them because they were based out of Sydney, and they probably still are.
Right. I didn't know that.
Yeah, they are Australian based. Maybe not out of Sydney.
This is my point with to-do. One question I got for you, I mean, talking about to-do tools, I've used so many of them.
Yeah, same here.
And I've got different to-do databases all the time with all these things I never did. Now, I find I start with a to-do list. I start going boom, boom, fill it up with all these to-do items. And then a very strong pattern of mine is then, just like that, building a to-do list of my own, you start a project and it becomes the entire thing. I get hyper-focused on that project. So spend a whole week on it. By the time I finished it, half those to-do items I had to do were sort of behind and defunct. Yeah. And now I've got this to-do database that I need to review, and I don't have time to review it because it's like it ends up this, and you just throw it all out and start again. I'm perpetually in this cycle of writing down a bunch of to-do items, doing a couple of them, and then throwing them all out again, and just going back to guesswork, right?
Well,
that organization skill I find difficult.
Well, one thing I've come to accept is that it's always going to be like that. And you have to, again, it comes down to just prioritizing and focusing. You can't do everything. And that's what it really comes down to. Do you know how many
Trello
times...
board full of stuff, right?
Exactly. I've got a Trello board. I actually go and clean out my to-do list often. I know I'm not going to get it done. And at the end of the day, I've just accepted it. I've accepted that, yep, I'm not going to do everything that I want. You have to pick your battles. You can't achieve everything in life. All those positivity things about, if you really want it, you can achieve it. You're not going to achieve everything in your life. Just understand it. Like, it's not going to happen. And
that comes down to perfectionism too, right? And that's why I like that. That's why I like having that Eisenhower Matrix in my head, though.
Yeah.
What's the most important thing to do right now? Everything else, forget it.
Exactly.
Right?
Exactly. And that's why, for me, I need to be able to keep things in my head, unfortunately. Like and sometimes they say, oh, if it's in your head, you can't, you're going to forget about it. But for me, right now, my content creation flow is doing a podcast with you every 2 weeks.
Yes.
Doing a live stream every Thursday and trying to get one piece of content out 5 days a week. I do not get one piece of content out 5 days a week. I may get four pieces of content a week.
5 pieces of content per week, like
in
a work week, you get 5
in
pieces
a work week, yeah. But I don't know if people notice, I very rarely get five pieces of content a week. Now, before, I would always be like, oh, I can't do 5, I might as well give up. But now I've realized that, you know what? I haven't been perfect with my schedule. And if you follow all these content influencers on LinkedIn, which I seem to follow because they do have sometimes good content about creating the perfect hook, doing all of this stuff, creating a content strategy. If I followed that thing
Wouldn't get it done
to the letter, I'd be freaking out because I'd be like, oh, I need to produce 5 pieces of content on TikTok every single day. If I don't do that, then I'm not going to grow. But you know what? I've realized that even if I produce a piece of content every second day, things have been growing. Things are going.
Yeah.
Everything's going and then moving forward. And that just shows that, but just by building that inertia and getting things going, just keep moving every single day, figure out and be like, okay, what is the next step?
Absolutely.
What is the next step?
I open this with going, look, I look at you and go, how do you get all that content out? And here you are going, I'm not getting all the content out.
Exactly.
Right? But from the outside perspective, you look like you're going gung-ho.
Yeah.
Right? It's amazing. And I said it in our last episode, is a lot of the advice you are getting from somebody whose perspective is from the top of the mountain.
Oh, absolutely.
Right.
Absolutely.
I'm sure I'm more and more convinced that the strategy when you're starting out is completely different. You know, it's like starting in a car. When you're sitting in a car, you've got to put your seatbelt on, you've got to check your mirrors, you've got to start the car.
Mm-hmm.
When you've got a racing driver sitting next to you and you're going, now make sure you take the turn. And he's like, well, I'm not even going.
Yeah.
It's a completely different strategy, completely different set of tasks.
Absolutely.
So
just a few other tools that I highly recommend. So again, another Microsoft one. I'm not paid by Microsoft, but Microsoft OneNote for a note-taking tool is pretty cool. It works good on offline. It works great for offline, whereas Notion does not work at all offline, which is a bit of an issue.
Right. Is Notion free or Notion paid?
No. Well, it is free. There is a free. It's got a pretty decent free plan. I've been grandfathered in to a certain plan, so I pay for it. I'm more than happy to pay for products, but again, as I've said many times on this podcast, SaaS prices always go up, and that's it.
Yeah, and they all add up.
They all do. Yeah, absolutely. One other tool which I highly recommend is using the voice typing or dictation in Microsoft Word. Now, what I mean by that is, especially now as we are all prompt engineers, okay?
Yep.
And this is, and for me, this is one of my little tips on getting content out. Okay, I can talk faster than I can write. I guess everyone's like that, right? Yeah. Okay. And so whenever I need to produce the text for a video, I can actually talk a lot quicker on what's happening in the video than I can to write it. Because of course, when you're writing it, you want to make sure the punctuation is all perfect and this and that. So what I've been doing is I actually write out the text part and then I hand that over to one of the AIs, either Claude or Gemini or OpenAI or GPT-4 or whichever one. And I get them to clean it up and then generate a semi-coherent piece of text. And then I go and fix it up. And for me, it's much quicker.
Is this to create are you resulting in a blog post or is this
a blog post, like the text part of a video. So every single time I produce a video, there's always text with it. And
yes. But so that's on your website. You create a video, then you embed that video on your web page and have a textual version of it underneath. Is that what you're saying?
Right now, the text version, only some of them have been going on the website. Again, this is one of the things where I've actually stopped pushing stuff onto my website because I just don't have time. And I've realized that I get more traction on the platforms, which is the wrong, which I understand isn't the smartest thing to do. Exactly. But I get more traffic, I get more engagement when it's on the platforms. Now, the Microsoft Word dictation, even through the app, through the web app, the web version, is, in my experience, the best one. It beats the Google Docs one, especially with my accent for some reason.
And do you
And
not on ChatGPT have direct access to the voice input on the app on your phone? I mean, I've used that a lot recently. I've been playing with it a lot.
Yeah, I've tried it out, but
old habit.
Well, I like to just open up Microsoft Edge in the browser because I'm logged into my Microsoft accounts for that, and then I just open up Word and I just start dictating, and that's also a great way of producing a lot of prompts as well, because sometimes I just turn it on and I just just tell it, I want you to produce this using this context, this, and that's really helped me.
I find that when I do, see, a technique I've been taking with ChatGPT is of course, it's got the memory in it now because I've got the paid version of it.
Yeah.
It remembers who all my favorite advisors are. There's Chris Doe, Gary Vaynerchuk, a bunch of other people in there. And I just go, can you just grab my advisors? This is the blog post I want to write about. Can you have them do a roundtable discussion about what should be in the blog post, and then print out a blog post? And then I do it again. Can you go and do a review of that blog post and add improvements? And I go through a few iterations, and I go, that's great, right? That's that one I read from Facebook. That's how I generated that one that I read out before, was that same. That's why you see it sort of hits the punch. It's like, because you write it out and then you see them give advice, one of them will come out and go, make sure that you're adding value, make sure that there's actionable stuff for the reader that they can take away, make sure there's a takeaway. And you're, this is so much better than going ChatGPT, write me a really good blog post, like going, pretend you're all these different people and have a roundtable discussion. That's a new technique I've been using, which I find quite useful.
That's interesting. I never thought of it like that. Maybe I'll give that a go.
Except when the prompt goes wrong and it decides to have a round table discussion and include me in it, and it starts writing on my behalf. So they all talk, and that goes, and then it puts my name and goes, Bevan says, blah, blah, and I never said that. So prompts go wrong sometimes. You go, why are you pretending to be me? I didn't tell you to do that.
Prompts go wrong. Yeah, absolutely.
Remember all those old memes about damned autocorrect? Right.
Oh, yes.
This is autocorrect on steroids. What's going to
Exactly. That's it.
So you've got some other apps here. We've both talked about Pomodoro Technique, to be honest.
Yeah. Well, I always try and work. Well, I try and work in 15-minute increments instead of 25. 25 to me is too hard. I try and do 15 because I feel like once I get into the flow, then I can increase it.
Yeah. I don't use it very often. I did use it today. Sometimes I've used it when, depends what I'm doing, right? It's not something I use all the time. I don't think any system's something I use all the time.
So the two other apps which I use, so Rise, so RIZE or ZE for our American listeners, that is a application that runs probably Mac only that tracks your usage. So it pretty much tracks what you're doing on your computer and gives you statistics about where you're wasting time. And
that's scary.
And it will tell you if you're on social media too much. It will tell you because it tracks stuff
talk
like
about
that.
Toxic productivity, right? Come on.
But one thing I do like is I can give it goals and say, look, I want to be able to spend, I want to spend an hour or 2 hours doing some bit of work, and then you can kind of track that. And that's kind of like a nice way of, for me, I need this whole process of, okay, I sit down, I put a timer on, and I do the work, and I lock all other distractions out. The other one, Freedom app, that is an app, I believe it's probably Mac only, but that one just locks all distracting websites. So you can actually set it for like half an hour, and then it'll block all the websites. So if you,
I feel like those things wouldn't work for me. I'd just go in and turn it off.
That's it. Sometimes you just need that little bit, and it's like, no, forget it. I'm going to jump off. But sometimes these apps, can be counterintuitive because sometimes you need to be in LinkedIn or in YouTube because you are producing content.
Yeah.
But you can easily go down the rabbit hole. And then it's like, oh, what's this? And then before you know it, you've spent way too much time because you've seen things on the side and things like that.
Yeah. Well, it's so easy to go down that rabbit hole.
Yeah.
Easy. Especially with, that is a trap. You've got to be in there to go and post stuff. If you go and post stuff, yes.
Absolutely, yeah. Okay.
Got any more?
No, that's about it.
All right. I think it was a great discussion.
Yeah.
Thanks for being open with me. This was
Yes.
I got a lot out of it. I hope our viewers did too. Give us some feedback. If you're more productive than me, give us a shout out.
Yes.
I need the encouragement. And that's it.
All right.
We'll spend the next 2 weeks being productive and check in 2 weeks.
Yes. All right. See you later.
See you later. Bye.
Bye.